Boston Bruins captain Brad Marchand is playing his 1,000th NHL regular season game tonight against Tampa Bay. And today we're discussing whether or not he has put together a Hall of Fame career. Let's get into it on a brand new episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked Beat. Today is Tuesday, February 13th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. Free and available on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. The Boston Bruins are back in action tonight, hosting the Tampa Bay Lightning in what will be Brad Marchand's 1,000th career regular season game. And we're going to discuss whether or not he has put together a Hall of Fame career. We'll also do our weekly cup check, as well as preview tonight's game against Tampa Bay. Quick reminder before we get started, you can find the podcast on social media at Locked NHL Bruins. And you can find me, my hockey thoughts, and dad jokes at Ian C. McLaren. Now, back in 2010, 11, very few people expected Brad Marchand to be the captain of the Boston Bruins, one of the top scorers in team history, and appearing in his 1,000th game, and discussing whether or not he will eventually end up in the Hall of Fame. But these are all very real things. He began his career projected to be a bottom six player, an agitator, can chip in sometimes offensively, oft in trouble. But here he is, set to become the 8th player in Bruins history to appear in 1,000 games in the black and gold. And let's be honest, he has put together what appears to be a Hall of Fame career. He told reporters after Monday's practice that it's very special, and he looks at it in many different ways. He said, quote, "When you look back as a kid coming up, just trying to make the league, it's hard to imagine playing 1,000 games, especially for one team. You look at the players, the guys he grew up watching who played 1,000 games, guys who you would have expected to play 1,000 games that didn't due to injuries or whatever, and it's pretty incredible," end quote. Now, of the players who have appeared in 1,000 games for the Bruins, Ray Bourque, Johnny Bucyk, Patrice Bergeron, General Manager Don Sweeney, David Krejci, Wayne Cashman, Zdeno Chara, and now Marchand, perhaps his journey has been the least predictable. And again, very few would have seen him becoming the elite offensive and defensive player who has excelled in the postseason. And it all goes back to when he really broke out during the 2011 Stanley Cup run, where he recorded 19 points in 25 games and scoring 2 goals in the Game 7 in Vancouver to win the first championship since 1972. And since then, he has steadily become one of the best wingers in the NHL. He has become a consistent goal scorer. He has scored 20 or more goals in 13 of his 14 seasons, including, I believe, 11 straight. The lone exception there was in 2013 when he only had 18 in 48 games because of the lockout shortened regular season. He's already got 25 goals in 52 games this season. It's not as if he's slowing down at all, really, either. At his present age, he is just continuing, maybe not to get better and better, but he's maintaining that elite level of play. And when asked if he believes he can get into the Hall of Fame, he said, honestly, I don't know. He sees the amount of time that he feels he can still play. He's going to play every single day, come to the rink every day, try to get better, and try to play as long as he can. If it happens, it happens. Not so much a goal as it would be a dream come true. He's 3 goals away from 400. Only players with more goals than him since the start of 2010-11 are Alex Ovechkin, Steven Stamkos, and John Tavares. All those guys will be in the Hall of Fame. He belongs there as well, especially if you look at his playoff numbers. The only guy with more postseason points since the start of 2010-11 is Nikita Kucherov. Only Joe Pavelski has scored more playoff goals, and he has the 1 cup win, 2 final appearances as well. He's also one of the best penalty killers of all time, 35 shorthanded goals, 13 more than any other player in the NHL since 2010-11. He's also the captain of an original 6 team and certainly has the respect of his peers. Jake DeBrusk yesterday said he came in as a rookie. Marchand was the first guy that he noticed. Bergie and Chara were there, but Marchand caught his eye with his work ethic and intensity. It takes a special player to play 1,000 games, no matter who you are. His road is probably different than other guys who've played 1,000 games. Everybody's got different journeys, but Marchand is probably one of the most impressive. And I haven't even touched on his international play as of yet. We all know he scored the game-winning goal for Team Canada at the 2016 World Cup. Not quite on the same level as Sidney Crosby's golden goal in 2010, but still a major international best-on-best tournament. He won a world championship with Canada in 2016. He won 2 World Junior Championships with Canada in 2007, 2008. If he can somehow crack the 2026 Canadian Olympic team, he has a chance at joining the famed, quadruple gold club, winning a cup, a world championship, an Olympic gold medal, and a World Junior Championship. If he keeps playing at this level, then he certainly could be on Team Canada, especially if they want to bring some, veteran leadership to the table and a guy who is still playing at a very high level. 67 points in 73 games so far this season, 80 points in 70 games last year, coming off double hip surgery. He had 10 points in 7 playoff games last year against the Florida Panthers, and hopefully he can add to those playoff totals again this season. Now, he's also a former Locked On Boston Bruins guest. If you missed Brad Marchand's appearance on the podcast, search that up and be sure to check that out because it was, without question, one of my favorite episodes of all time. So congratulations to Captain Brad Marchand for 1,000 games, a huge achievement, a major accomplishment, and I can certainly see him playing for 2, 3, 4 more seasons. As of right now, he is 35. He'll turn 36 in May. So, 3, 4 more seasons, up to 40. Hopefully he goes to play for Team Canada in 2026, gets that gold medal, and that would even cement his legacy even more. His career trajectory is quite remarkable and unlike any other player. And hopefully somebody writes a book about it one day because I think it would be just an incredibly compelling story. All right, it is Tuesday, so that means it's time for the cup check. And we'll get to that here as the podcast continues. The NFL season has come and gone, but you can still get in on the action over at FanDuel with respect to the NBA and the NHL. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. And you can also get in on the action for the Bruins Lightning game tonight. The over-under for tonight's game is set at 6.5. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thank you so much once again for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine, free and available on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, Locked On recently launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and it's now also available on Amazon Fire TV. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now on Amazon Fire TV. It's time for the Cup Check, where we look at the top 5 teams around the NHL and assess where the Bruins rank among them. And after leveling up with the Vancouver Canucks with a win last Thursday, the Bruins have fallen back a little bit in terms of first overall. They're now 3 points back of Vancouver because they lost their following game against Washington, whereas Vancouver has gone on to pick up 3 points since then. Vancouver does have one more game played. Only Boston and Vancouver have point percentages above 700. Boston's at 702. Vancouver's at 717. They also lead the league in goal differential. Vancouver in first at plus 56. Boston at plus 43. Both of these teams have similar underlying numbers as well. I've talked several times about how these two teams are 1 and 2 in terms of PDO, which is adding up save percentage and shooting percentage at 5-on-5. And usually teams will level off around an even 100. In fact, the Florida Panthers, who are a very dangerous team, the defending Eastern Conference champions, sneaking up on the Bruins, as we'll touch on here in a moment. They're 15th with a PDO of 998, with a 7.03 shooting percentage and a 92.75 save percentage, which means their success, is what it is. They're not really dining out on quote unquote puck luck. Whereas the Bruins, you can make an argument that if their goaltending were to suddenly fall off, then they would be in a bit of trouble because they have a second ranked save percentage at 93.62. Now, what the Bruins have going for them, of course, is that they have 2 legit number 1 goalies. So whereas Winnipeg, if Connor Hellebuck falls off, or even the third ranked in terms of save percentage Florida Panthers, Sergei Bobrovsky falls off, you're not relying on Laurent Brossoit or Anthony Stolarz. You have Jeremy Swayman or Linus Ullmark who can pick up the slack. The Bruins are also one of the top teams in terms of shooting percentage. They rank third at 9.76. Vancouver is first at 11.63. So it's possible that their shooting percentage could drop a bit, their save percentage could drop a bit, and they could start losing some more games as Florida begins to possibly overtake them in the standings. And based on the underlying numbers, it's very possible, because if you look at shot attempt differential, Florida ranks second in the NHL at the moment, whereas the Bruins rank 22nd. Vancouver's 20th, I should add. In terms of shot differential, Florida's third, whereas the Bruins are down in 22nd, Vancouver's 21st. If you look at expected goals, which looks at shots, shot attempts, high danger chances, the Panthers are second, the Oilers are first, and the Bruins are 19th. The Canucks a bit better in 13th. So these are some teams to keep an eye on here as the season continues. If you look at the top 5 teams by way of point percentage, you have Vancouver, Boston, as I mentioned. Florida is third in the NHL at the moment. They're 3 points back of the Bruins. They're creeping up in terms of goal differential as well. 6-2-2 over their last 10. They've won 2 in a row. I would not be shocked if at some point Florida overtakes the Bruins. I'll just say that right now. The Dallas Stars are fourth in terms of save percentage. Actually, they're tied with the Florida Panthers with a plus 33 goal differential compared to Florida's plus 36. So we'll give Florida the edge there. And then there's 2 teams tied with a 670 point percentage. That's the New York Rangers and the Winnipeg Jets at 670. The Jets have the advantage there in terms of goal differential. Now, the Hurricanes, the Oilers, based on their underlying numbers, are also teams to be keeping an eye on. So right now, as it stands, Boston, Vancouver are your top 2 teams in the NHL in terms of points, point percentage, goal differential. But if you dig a bit deeper and look at the underlying numbers, you have to look at Florida. If their scoring rate can rise a little bit more, they're going to be even more dangerous. You have to look at the Edmonton Oilers. Their expected goals is, I believe, top 2 in the NHL. I really think they're a team that could emerge from the Western Conference here, especially if they're able to make an addition or 2 prior to the trade deadline, which is now less than a month away. So Boston, they're looking to make a statement tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning to wipe off what occurred over the weekend against the Washington Capitals. And Tampa's a legit first-round opponent possibility if the Bruins are indeed destined to fall back into second place. We'll preview that game a little more here as the podcast continues. If you're into daily fantasy hockey, then there's no better place to get in on the action than Sleeper. Sleeper is the daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. It's our number 1 choice for daily fantasy sports because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, or any superstar around the NHL will record more or less than their sleeper projections for goals, assists, plus minus, and more in a given game. Same with goalies and saves. To win 100 times your bet, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. So win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Bruins Lightning tonight at TD Garden. Hopefully everybody's able to make it there safely amid the wild snowstorm that's going on down there today. The Bruins, again, will be looking to shake off that pretty bad loss against Washington. This is the third of 4 meetings between these 2 clubs this season. Tampa Bay won the first one back on November 20th, 5-4 in overtime. The Bruins came back and won 7-3 on January 6th. Tampa's coming into this one having won 4 of their past 6 games. including their last game against the Columbus Blue Jackets after losses to the two New York area teams. Boston have lost 2 of 3 coming out of the All-Star break. Calgary, Washington, they were booed off the ice. And then the Vancouver game in the middle there, which was a lot more satisfying, of course. Andrei Vasilevsky, their star goalie, only has a .901 save percentage this season. This is a team that is fairly leaky defensively, and they're missing Mikhail Sergachev, who's out for the season with a knee injury. They're 24th in terms of goals allowed per game this season, 3.30. The Bruins are scoring 3.38, so you can expect them to score at least 3 goals tonight, is my prediction. Tampa's offense is still very good, of course. 3.42 goals they're scoring per game, which is 7th. So slightly better than the Bruins offensively. The Bruins defense, much better than Tampa's, though. They rank 3rd, allowing only 2.58 goals per game. It'll be a special teams battle tonight. Tampa's power play is ranked 1st. Boston's penalty kill was ranked 1st. They've now slipped down to 7th. Boston's power play ranks 7th. Tampa's penalty kill is 13th at 80.9%. Nikita Kucherov has 9 points over their last 5 games, including 7 assists to lead the way. He's having a monster season, a perhaps MVP season. 89 points through 52 games so far this season. That is well clear of Boston's leading scorer, David Pastrnak, who's got 75 through 52. A 14-point lead for Nikita Kucherov over David Pastrnak. Pastrnak has 3 goals, 5 assists to lead the Bruins in both categories over the past 5 games. And I'm expecting a big performance out of him tonight as he attempts to outclass Nikita Kucherov, who again leads in scoring. He's got a 14-point lead over Pastrnak, who sits in 3rd at the moment. Nathan MacKinnon sandwiched in between at 85 points to sit in 2nd, with Connor McDavid creeping up. He's only 4 points back of David Pastrnak. Kucherov is in a tie with Pastrnak for 3rd in goals with 33 assists. He has the most in the NHL at 56. That's where Pastrnak, he still has an impressive 42 assists, but he's down in 9th in the NHL. So it should be a fantastic game between 2 teams that could be meeting up in the playoffs this year. If Boston were to fall back to 2nd, and if Tampa can hold on to that 3rd spot, then that would be the first round matchup in the Atlantic Division. And we all know Boston's playoff history against Tampa, although this is not the same Lightning team that we have seen in years past. That's it for today's episode, my friends. Thank you so much for taking some time to listen to Locked On Boston Bruins. Hope you all enjoy Brad Marchand's 1,000th career game. Hopefully he has a good one. The Bruins are able to step up and take that buoy taste out of our mouths against this team tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow to recap whatever happens tonight and bring you all the latest on the Black and Gold on Locked On Boston Bruins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day.